Hey everybody, it's the Alarm Doctor again. I'm working on part 2 of the videos on timing your box mechanism. Now what we have here, this is a page from a 1920 Gamewell Service Tech's pocket reference book. And what it shows is how to time any particular box. Now the Gamewell engineers came up with a ratio of 4, 10, and 25. Now how they came up with that, I have no idea, and exactly how all that calculates, I have no idea, but it works. So that's what it's based on. And everything is also based off of 1 second timing. So if you look closely at this page right here, box time 1 second speed, 1 second between blows, 2.5 seconds between numbers, and 6.25 seconds between rounds. And to find the time for any box, multiply the time of 1 second, a 1 second speed box by the rate of the speed desired. So in this example right here, this is box, the code wheel is 2, 3, 4. So as you can see by this drawing, we have 1 second here between this blow. Between these two blows, we have 2.5 seconds between numbers. Then we have another 1 second between blows and another 1 second between blows. Here's 2.5 seconds between numbers again. And then we have 1, 2, 3 seconds here, because we have 4 blows, which has in between 1, 2, 3, and then your 6.25 from the end of the first round to the start of the second round. So you can see by this example down here that they've added all these together. There's 1, 2.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 6.25, and that comes out to 17.25 seconds per round, or 69 seconds for 4 rounds. Now what they mean by all timing is based off the 1 second is if you want a different time, in this example you want these boxes timed at 1 3/4 seconds. So you take what you found for 1 second timing and you multiply it by 1.75, and that comes out to 120 3/4 seconds. Now, this is the tough way to do it. If you do it a lot, I'm sure it's pretty simple to figure out. But for most of us, a chart is much better. So Gamewell came out with a timing chart, and this is what this looks like. Now, there is a page for each type of code wheel. Not type of code wheel, but should I say the number on the code wheel. We have pages for code wheels with 1 digit. We have a page for code wheels with 2 digits. We have a page for code wheels with 3 digits. And we have a page with code wheels for 4 digits. This is the easy way. So if you had box number 1, 2, 3. So over here in the first column we have number of blows. So 1, 2, 3 would be 1 and 2 is 3 and 3 is 6. So we would go to the 3-digit page. Alright, and we're up here at the very top. And I know you're having a hard time seeing this, but okay, there is 6. We'll get into the shield setting here in just a little bit. But we go out here and across the top of this page, you see what timing you want. 1/3 second, 1/2 second, 1 second, all the way up to 3.25 seconds. Now, there's one other thing that you see here that will come into play later on is, do you see this darkened black line right here? What that darkened black line is there for is to tell you that anything slower than this speed, you either have to have a full-size fan or weights to be able to make this speed. On this side of the black line, which is a faster speed, you actually have to clip the timing fan. So, with that being said, we'll get into this here a little bit further, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, here's what we're talking about when we're talking about timing fans. This is the old style fan, and it's basically unadjustable. When you ordered a box way back when, you told the factory what you wanted it timed at, and they would send it, and a lot of times it would have this fan in it. Now, you can make timing adjustments, however, most of the time, unless you're willing to try to solder lead on here or clip things on the ends of this fan, you can't make it run any slower. You can make it run faster by clipping parts off the fan. You have to remember though that you have to do the same thing to both sides so that the fan weight is fairly even. The other thing you got to remember is once you start clipping on this, you can't go back. So what I normally do is if I have an old box like this and in a system or a display, I'll time my newer boxes to the slowest box that I have on my display. Now below that is the newer style timing fan. This is a full length one. Remember that black line I was talking about? The black line will tell you whether you have to add weights to the full size fan or if you're going to get in there and clip it off. Just remember, when you use weights or when you clip a fan, you have to use the same size weight on both sides or clip off the same amount on both sides, because if you have uneven weight, the box most likely will not run correctly. Okay, I wanted to talk a minute about indexing. I've mentioned this before, and it's just something I wanted to point out, especially on the older mechanisms. I'll have guys send me emails, etc., and don't understand why when they start their older box or when they start any box, why they get a stroke right away and then the box number will start coming in. Well, normally here's the reason why. As you can see in this older mechanism right here, a lot of the older code wheels, the first tooth is much wider than the rest of the teeth on this code wheel. Now that's not always the case, but a lot of times that is the case. And what happens is when this mechanism starts, the contact lever will drop down. Well, if you don't have this code wheel right in the correct position so that when that arm drops down, it hits that first tooth, you're going to get a stray stroke. So it's imperative on these mechanisms, and you'll have to watch your mechanism. You'll have to look at it once it stops and restarts it and see if your contact lever drops right away. Some of them might take a click or two before the contact arm decides to drop down, but what you have to do is take your set screw loose and you have to move this code wheel until you get it to the point that when it starts rotating and this contact arm finally does fall, it falls on top of the first tooth on this code wheel. Now in the peerless mechanisms, it's a little bit different story. The timing chart has a measurement for your shield. Now what that measurement is the distance from the first tooth to where the contact lever rides on the shield. And there are a little bit different adjustments. They're really small. Again, for display purposes, it really wouldn't make that big a difference. But in a municipal system, it's a very good idea to try to keep these shield lengths from the first tooth to the contact lever as close to the recommendation distance as possible.